How's it going? It's definitely is a different challenging vibe, when you're starting something new and like my attempt is to do make a video every single day. I've been consistent for the most part. I mean, when I first started, I gave myself a little leeway just coming in because life. So there were like early beginning, I didn't do it necessarily every day, but I have been doing it every day for like about a week or so, and I want to still keep trying to do it until at least till the end of February, maybe sometime in March. And it's definitely interesting because, it's like maybe I guess some of the cultural human stuff that we have, like, oh, I want to look nice for the camera, or, you know, I need to like put myself together, even though, it's just sometimes I feel like when you can, at least for me, like trying to do something consistently at first can be really challenging because there are times you might be doubting yourself, what you're doing, why you're doing this. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I just want to take more action in my life, and because who just wants to sit around and do nothing and just let the day repeat over and over? If that's you, that's cool. But for me, it's just like I need a little bit more variety. But sometimes you get even in the it's kind of like sometimes you feel like you're biting off more than you can chew, but that's also like a limiting belief there because it's like, is it really so hard to make a anywhere from a 5 to 30 minute video? I don't think so, but it's interesting what gets in our head. And you know where I am right now, it's like winter, and especially when it's colder, like it's been really cold and windy the past couple days, and it just makes me want to hibernate. I can't hibernate. No, unfortunately, like I need to go out into the world and do things, but it's just like I just want to hibernate. And it's just interesting, how we humans have our natural cycles of things where it's just like you like kind of like with the seasons. I mean, if you live near the equator, you probably have less seasons, just like one season. But it's just like, you know, winter is time for rest, spring is new growth, summer there's lots of energy, vitality, fall it's typically, a time of winding down to get ready for winter. It's like all transitional things. And I feel this is my personal opinion. Y'all let me know if it's true or not, but I feel like when you live somewhere that has these types of seasons and cycles, it works well with your body if you also kind of follow those seasons and cycles. But in our unified cultural beliefs, as of right now, it's just like we're programmed to just, or at least have the expectations to keep working, 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 working all the time until we blow out that we can't even work anymore because you're exhausted, you end up in the hospital, somebody dies or something like that. And I'm just finding this very interesting. Like, I'm just wondering if any of you who like live somewhere tropical and stuff like that, if you all experience stuff like this. I don't know. Like, my impression of, different people I've seen mostly from YouTube, because especially because I don't interact with as many people as I would like to, but my impression from what I've seen of people kind of living more these tropical areas, they don't necessarily have to go through these extreme cycles like the rest of us do. And I also think one, it has to do with the climate as well as the culture, because it's just like, it's like island time. Like, you relax. It gets done when it gets done. They have a thing where it's just like, oh, I don't know how to say this politically correct. But there's island time and there's another type of time where you really need to be on time. And I don't know of a politically correct way to say it, so I'm not going to say it, but I'm guessing some of you know what I'm talking about. Especially if you friends and stuff are from the islands. It's just like, it comes when it comes. And I want to trust in that vibe and energy more. I think we all need to trust that. Like, it comes when it comes because your higher self knows the divine timing of things. But we allow ourselves to be deluded in this culture where if I'm not doing all this stuff, I'm not taking out my 50 plus items on my to do list, that I'm a failure, something's wrong, I'm never going to be happy. And it's just like, some of this stuff just doesn't make sense to me. And I'm like, maybe that's kind of where I am in this journey right now. Maybe, because I'm living where I'm living, having all these seasons, I need to learn to appreciate the different times and seasons and things to know when my rhythm is changing. Maybe if I lived somewhere more tropical, I wouldn't need to change my rhythms as much because the culture and my mindset would just be more at ease. I don't know. What do y'all think? Like, I was having trouble thinking, what to make for a video because, I'm like, should I make a video of me making stock and squeezing lemons because it's just part of my day? I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I love food, but I'm like, y'all really want to see me making food? I don't know. I need something different. And, sometimes I think maybe it's too boring me just talking, but there's plenty of YouTubers that just talk. And there's also plenty that do food. And I'm just like, well, how am I going to do the camera angles? And what am I going to do with the sun and the windows? And is my kitchen clean enough? It's much cleaner than before, but is it really clean enough? Like, someone gonna notice? I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, it's just interesting, like, how we're affected by so many things. I think certain people are affected by more things than others. Like, yeah, for me, I I'm very I'm affected by a lot of things, and the story I have around that is just like I'm very sensitive to what's around me, and if I need to change, I'm able to adapt to the situations. That's the story I'm telling myself because, you know, that's the story I want to tell myself. I don't want to take it to like a negative story where I think I'm neurotic and stuff like that. Like, for instance, I'm not always the best at this, but I do make the attempts to keep my space. If I can't keep it clean, at least somewhat make it organized because my mood is just better when things are organized compared to when it's just chaos and it's just like I think it's also a feng shui thing. It's like with energy and like cluttered mind, cluttered life, cluttered space. It's one of the reasons why I do miss like my yoga studio and stuff like that. Just the giant empty rooms area. And it was just like so calming because there's like nothing there. And literally, I just felt like I could just lay everything flat, like on the floor. I could just let everything go and just. Versus now in my apartment, can't do that. If anyone knows, space can be a premium. I think space is a premium no matter where you are. And I don't really have a backyard I can just cultivate and like do all that stuff with either. So that's one thing I do miss about living in like at my parents' house in the suburbs and stuff like that. Like, oh, having a backyard and like grass and stuff like that. And it's just like, where do we go like with this energy? Like, what do we do like when we're feeling restless? Because I feel like I should be doing more, but at the same time, should I be doing more? And it's like, is this coming out because I don't want to do something, or is this coming out because I actually really need to rest? And I think, well, at least me, I have trouble distinguishing that at times because it's just like, there's, there's just stuff going on. And I know for me right now, it's because I actually do need rest because like as women, you have hormonal fluctuations every 28 days, give or take. Sometimes it's longer, sometimes it's a little shorter. And it's just like, and then there's also life and things like that and stress. And it's just like, I feel like we're more in tune with that kind of stuff, and when something's off, it really feels off, and it's hard to explain sometimes. At least for me, I have trouble articulating it. I don't know if y'all ever felt that way too, but it's like I know I'm in a cycle within a cycle within a cycle, like my seasonal cycle, my my what do I call this cycle? Seasonal cycle, then it's like my human cycle, then my female cycle. I have all different cycles things because I know certain patterns within myself, and it's just like this is a time I should be resting and not feel guilty about feeling resting, but I do, and it's like why? Because I feel like I should be doing something else. Why? Because I feel like I haven't made it in life because I don't have the life I want. Why? And it's just it keeps going and going and going, and sometimes it's like okay, enough. I had a break. And yeah, I don't know if y'all feel the same way too at times. Yeah, I love being happy and giggly and having fun making videos at times. And it's like right now it's just like I just need rest. It's not so much that I'm tired. I just like need rest. Like my body's just like, yeah, you need a rest for a little bit more. Like we're like going through stuff and it's like I'm going through more like a physical, a mental, spiritual, like a releasing and letting go of stuff. I'm just like, oh, this is exhausting. And I know it's one of those things because I remember a couple of years ago, I had a similar experience where it's just like, I needed the rest, but I didn't want to rest. And then when the new thing came up, I was so busy, and I'm like, I wish I appreciated the rest when I had it. And I feel like I'm kind of in the middle of that right now. So it's just like, if you need the excuse to rest because you actually need it, take it. Now it's just like, what do you do if you're not sure? Like, maybe you need to see a doctor and check your levels. I don't know, that's for you to figure out and stuff like that. Because, sometimes, most of the time I haven't had many good experiences with medical doctors, but, there are times I even go to where I'm just like, I don't know, let's get some blood work done. Oh, the reason why you're feeling like this is because you're anemic. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I started eating more red meat, I feel better. And sometimes it can be something as simple as changing your diet because I had a whole thing like they had me see a hematologist and they wanted me to get these iron injections and I was really against it at first. I'm just like, you know what, fine. Let me just do it aloud because I don't really know what else to do. I don't know if the natural stuff is going to take how long this going to take. And then my insurance gets back to me. They actually go back to the doctor like, yeah, so remember when we said you could take like one shot like every week and it'd be at like this dosage? No, apparently your insurance company wants you to take a much lower dosage 3 times a week. No, 2 times a week, 2 or 3 times a week, I don't remember, to add up to the same dosage over a longer period of time. I'm just like, huh? But you're the doctor. It's like, I know, but this is what your insurance is. I'm just like, why is the insurance company dictating my health when you're the actual doctor with the medical degree? And that like turned me off from this. So I never got that. I decided to talk to an old friend of mine who's an acupuncturist, and I went really heavy, eating a lot more red meat, a lot, and taking some little extra supplements. And in like 1 2 months, I was feeling much better. And no, I didn't go retake my levels. I just knew it's like, oh, I wasn't getting faint walking upstairs and stuff like that. And I think it's good to empower yourself knowing how to help yourself, but sometimes you do need help. And being able to make that decision, having not feeling powerless in that conversation, because it's like, okay, I know something's wrong. I don't know exactly what. Then I went to a doctor, get blood work done. I looked at it. The doctors also told me other things, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't think you exact. And some of the other things that they mentioned and stuff like that, but I'm like, well, yes, these levels are technically high, but since these other levels are low, I'm not worried about this other problem. Because, medical stuff can get very intricate and stuff like that. And I'm not giving anyone any medical advice. This is just my own personal story. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm not worrying about these levels if these are fine. I'm like, I'm not worrying about that. I'm purposely doing that because I need to, because for me, they were saying some of my cholesterol levels were high. But I intentionally do that because I purposely eat a lot more fat. Um, I guess similar to like keto diet in a sense, which I don't really do keto, but I do a lot of healthy proteins, a lot of healthy fats when I need it, because I feel like the more healthy fats I eat, the more stable and grounded I feel. Like, because, I did the whole low fat thing early on. It's just like, I just felt neurotic. That's the best word I have for it. And it's just like, no, I'm not going back to, oh, having quote unquote good cholesterol levels if I'm going to feel crazy all the time. Like, no. And especially if I'm not worried about, and if all these other levels are good, why am I going to worry about that one thing? Now, if I had this and this and this thing combined with that, okay, that's an issue. But if it's just that one thing and everything else over there is fine, I'm personally not worrying about. Again, this is me, my story. I can't say anything else for anyone else. That's just my story. And I think, it's just time to be able to feel like you have the decisions to make whatever decisions you want to make about your life, your health, your finances, all that kind of stuff. And this is a very interesting topic. I was not prepared to talk about this today. I just thought this would be a very small, short video about rest, and here I am talking about medical stuff. Oh, this is funny. You know, I always say I think it's always best to be the best advocate for yourself. I mean, when I hear people say, "Do your own research," how many people really do their own research? I find it hilarious, but at the same time, do your own research and stuff like that. And like I also get other opinions as well. I don't just listen to one person. Hence why I saw my primary, had to see a hematologist. Then I also saw, you know, and I can understand that everyone's going to do that. Some people will, some people won't. Do what y'all want. It's your lives. It's your story. But it's just like, huh. And sometimes you might just feel off, and sometimes you might know the reason why because you know certain patterns of yourself, and sometimes, okay, something's new. Now it might be something with hormones, or it could be you're really stressed out because your adrenals are stressed out because you're stressed out, and ABCD, or like maybe it's because I'm also not eating as much fat as I used to because I was going super heavy with the fat and the protein, and now I've been trying to wane back a little on that, so I'm feeling more tired. So that's probably also one of the reasons because eating the good quality fat and protein can get can get I don't want to say it in a negative way. I'm trying to see how I can put a positive spin on this because I could say it is very expensive, but I want to say it in a way that's like empowering. Like it's a great investment that focuses your investment on one particular thing. How does that sound? I don't know. But so, naturally I tried to lean back a little bit with that, and my body feels it. It's just like, no, we want you to have more of the fat and protein again. We feel really good with that because here's what it is. My body likes it, but I just want to see how far maybe well no. I'm doing an experiment with how much with if I can do less, can I still do more with it? And the hypothesis is no. Because I'm like, oh, okay. Because when I was eating a lot more of the healthy animal fats and proteins, like I felt really good. And I was doing that experiment based on finances, so I like drew back a little bit of that, and I'm noticing I'm more tired. So I'm like, okay, I'm more tired because I'm not getting the minerals and sustenance I need. But what I'm also trying, like, okay, I do want to include more animal and protein fat, but maybe I also need to include some other things. So, like, I'm actually experimenting with some nettle tea infusions and some other herbal infusions. Just simple stuff. I'm not doing all complicated stuff. And, I just made my first nettle thing. It's like nettles, you know, I don't know, maybe because I started like this natural stuff a long time ago, but yeah, earthy And a lot of bitter things don't bother me as much. I'm like, all right, it tastes a little bit like dirt, or tastes like very earthy or branchy. And it's just like, all right. Yeah, I remember when I used to work at Whole Foods a long time ago, and I used to love this one guy that was in my he was in the supplements department. And in all the different departments, like sometimes you have little samples here and stuff like there, like, and sometimes as you're working, like, you sneak over to the other place to try a sample. We don't have samples all the time, obviously, but I don't know if it's still true nowadays, but you can typically ask for like samples of certain things, not everything, but maybe certain things. And they were just having to do an example of like noni, and for those of you that know about noni, that is bitter and strong. And he this is like an older gentleman from like the South, the Caribbean. I don't exactly know where. And he knows like all about the supplements and stuff like that. I'm like, all right. He's like, oh yeah, give that a shot. I just took a shot like that, and it's like blind fade. He's like, nothing. I'm like, yeah, give me another one. Like of course it doesn't taste great. He's like, but you trying to upstage me in my own department? I just think that's interesting. Like when you're how easily like you can be fixated on certain things. It's like, oh, if I'm not feeling this way, it must be that. So right now I'm in the middle of assessing things. I'm like, okay, I probably do need a little bit more fat and protein, but I think I also need a little bit more plant stuff as well too. So I'm experimenting with that right now, and because I'm experimenting with that a little bit, my body feels tired because it's trying to recalibrate and just it's like, okay, what are y'all doing now? Like I'm getting all this stuff now, and I'm like, what's this? What's doing? How am I doing this? So maybe that's why I'm tired, because my body's trying to figure out stuff. I don't know. Well, I don't know. I feel like that's enough rambling for today, and I hope this was helpful to somebody, and maybe y'all are figuring stuff out too. And let's just figure some of this stuff out together. All right, have fun. Bye.